So funny, my friend said to me, rappers, they're all so tough until you hear their real name.
Yeah, or until you see him at a Puffy party.
Hey y'all, it's me, the Nosy Goddess, and I am back getting into the business of Terrence Howard, having a conversation with Bill Maher regarding the industry and how the rappers seem to be all on the down low, according to what they've seen and heard. Terrence actually likens the behavior to buck breaking during slavery times. Let's take a listen.
So funny, my friend said to me, rappers, they're all so tough until you hear their real name.
Yeah, or until you see him at a Puffy party.
Oh,
Then they're not tough no more. I'm surprised that the rap game is still alive after, because the masculinity that the rappers are supposed to portray.
what is it? What is it with all the man on man action that I'm learning about? I mean, like with the Puffy parties, like the last thing I ever thought that went on there was gay stuff. Not that gay stuff
Yeah,
was wrong. It's wonderful. I just did not think that's what Puffy was doing.
Yeah, well, I didn't think it either. And even when my assistant said that stuff, I still was like joking it off. And it wasn't until later on that I heard other things from people that worked from him. You remember that back in the times of slavery, they had a thing called breaking the buck, where they would take, not to go in a bad place, but this is how I see what's happening, the parallels with what's happening correlates what's happening in the business. If they, back in the times of slavery, if they had like some 12-year-old slave that was just full of himself and confident and, wasn't listening, they would tie him to a log or a barrel, and a bunch of the overseers would rape him, to where when he walked around with the slaves now, he didn't have the confidence.
Sure.
He was broken, and it was called breaking the buck.
Wow.
And that's still taking place. And so to hear that people in the industry are still making young rappers who have fought the worst of circumstances, being disenfranchised, being discounted, and then they finally like, I'm gonna put it into the music. I'm gonna do it in the music, and I'm gonna, and get myself together. And they go and see someone, and they tell them, okay, yeah, you can have a deal, perform fellatio on me, and you get your deal. That was what I heard while I was on Empire about some of the people in the business. And Petey Pablo, you remember Petey Pablo?
I know who that is.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer. Him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho Is On. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the homosexuality taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. But that song, Ho It's On, they did not care. They went all in on it.
Well, here's the Petey Pablo song on YouTube. They named it Oh It's On. Maybe they edited the title. There's a lot of people in the comments that said Terrence Howard brought me here. And I actually did listen out of curiosity. And he is very correct in saying that Petey Pablo called out all the undercover gayness going on in the industry. Now, Terrence Howard said a whole lot in this 2.5 minute clip. So we need to unpack a little bit of it. He compared the rappers basically being broken because they were too cocky, too militant, too angry, whatever the case, in their songs. In order to get a deal, the executive would make them give them fellatio or even more, probably on camera as well. A lot of this is said to have gone on at the Diddy parties. And a lot of these people were drugged and having things done to them on camera while they didn't consent. Also, he talked about how when he was on Empire playing a music executive, he learned some of this stuff. So clearly there was some research that was going on, and people he was talking to that told him about this buck breaking activity. I mean, I'm actually glad Terrence is calling this out. Not sure if you're even aware that he has a new podcast that he's saying is going to be every Hollywood studio's worst nightmare, and that he plans to pull back the curtain on Hollywood secrets. According to Vibe magazine, they say Terrence Howard is no stranger to stirring up controversy with his views, but now he's turning up the heat a bit with his upcoming podcast. The actor is set to release a new series that promises to pull back the curtain on the entertainment industry, offering listeners an inside look at the business of show business. Howard himself describes the podcast as a studio's nightmare and every actor's wet dream. The 56-year-old actor plans to tackle everything from shady industry deals to the pressures he's faced with the corporate walls of Hollywood. One hot topic that Howard said will be discussed is his ongoing lawsuit against the Creative Artists Agency, or CAA. Howard has accused the agency of pressuring him to accept a lower salary for his role on Empire. Here he is here.
But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing.
Now, you remember when he told us about the man card and how important it is to preserve it and protect it. That, I guess, was a preview of what his podcast is going to be all about. And I'm all here for it. They say Howard also plans to air his grievances about the big players at Disney and Fox, whom he claims wronged him on the set of Empire and exposed the business betrayals and shady transactions he's witnessed during his long career in film and television. Howard's podcast plans comes after his wild claims on the PBD podcast. That's the clip I just showed, where he accused Diddy of making a sexual advance at him. They went on to talk about in more detail the clip that was played and had gone viral. Howard explained how this kind of behavior wasn't exclusive to Combs, but a familiar pattern among Hollywood's elite. He shared that he had to threaten to punch producers who acted inappropriately, reiterating that he sticks to his integrity. He said, when you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. The actor also boldly stated, I've lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that shit because the man card means everything. And I'm pretty sure if you are on the internet at all, you already saw that viral clip. Terrence Howard ain't playing no games with these mofos. I just really hope that he's watching his back, and we got to pray for protection for Terrence Howard for giving us the real truth behind the scenes of the industry. He has been an actor for a long time, and he's a credible actor at that. From what I understand, I think he did come across some allegations, but he seems unscathed at this point. So I do appreciate people like Terrence Howard being honest about the experiences they've had with the unscrupulous behaviors of these industry executives. And it's just things that finally are coming to the light. And especially with Diddy's trial coming up in about a week's time, we're really going to be hearing about what has been going on behind the scenes from people who were there. Now, I have another channel, $1 Trillion Goddess. Come join me over there. I go live a couple times a week. And I specifically do dive into the Diddy case. We went inside of his emergency hearing that happened this past Friday. I'm able to access live tweets. So I do welcome you to come join us on that channel. And also, you can visit me on the community wall as well, where I post almost daily positive affirmations and messages and things that keep your vibe and your frequency high, child. We got to stay positive in this world, okay? Now, with all that being said, I appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe. Till next time, bye.